Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome back to the Final Furlong podcast. We've got a lot of racing to talk about in the company of former jockey William Kennedy, no relation, and one of our favourite guests on the show, George Gorman. Welcome back, boys. Joining me, Emmet Kennedy, as we go back over the last few days of racing. Let's try and find some winners for you by talking about some horses who won over the weekend, beginning with Majborough, who made a flawless start to his career over fences. It was the first leg of a 265-1 four-timer for Willie Mullins. Maybe that's all we should have done, just picked the Mullins horses for Saturday in some sort of elaborate Lucky 15 accumulator, but it was 4 different jockeys who were all winning. Majborough is the first Triumph Hurdle winner to go chasing the following season after his Triumph win for 20 years. The last one to do it, made in Japan, won on his chase debut, but then got beaten on his next 3 starts, including in the Arkle. Will a similar fate await Majborough, or is this the real deal, William Kennedy?
Oh, he looked the real deal the other day anyway. Like, I mean, he jumped a little bit left maybe, but there's part of me like that. I think horses that have a tendency to maybe go one way just always give themselves a little bit of room and an obstacle. And so I didn't think that was a big issue. He wasn't jumping mad out to his left. It was his first time, big fences. He made one mistake down the back, and then Mark gave him a boot into 4 out, and he absolutely winged it. And then from there on, he was really good, quickened up really nicely after the last. Yeah, he looked the real deal to me anyway.
He looked the real deal to me too, George. You're always just a little bit apprehensive about juvenile hurdlers in their next season, whether they're over hurdles or over fences. We saw it with Blood Destiny last year. He was a good hurdler, but sort of, he did all right. But Spillane Tower put him in his place a couple of times. Somehow he beat Spillane Tower over 2 miles. Don't know, as Gavin Lynch was saying, don't know what he was doing in that race over 2 miles in the first place. But you spend an awful lot of time with point-to-pointers. And if we do touch on that 3-year-old story in Ireland a little bit later on, the Triumph Hurdle winners from years gone by are very, very different now. We were talking about precocious horses from the flat or horses who were decent middle distance ones going hurdling. Now, because there's such a demand for those horses in Asia and the Middle East and North America, you have to look at the French horses instead. And it turns out the ones like Sergino, Carghese and Majborough are able to win grade 1s over hurdles, and then maybe, as Sergino has, and now Majborough, continue that going forward. So does this make him a serious player for the Arkle, and we should be maybe less concerned about his age?
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm interested to say about sort of looking towards the French breds, because we're losing these types of horses to Japan. This is a horse we got back from Japan. Like, his sire is a son of Deep Impact, who has literally moved back to Ireland, I think, in the past few weeks to Capital Stud. So definitely be one to be getting stuck into him, and more well known for his sort of flat performance than his jumpers anyway. But I think he's got to be a serious Arkle contender, really. Like, as William said there, like 4 out, he was absolutely perfect. Like, and even I think 2 out, Tullyhill absolutely flew it, and this was just sprinted away from them. You would think, if you watched the last 2 fences, you'd think they'd absolutely hacked around there, and they really didn't. Like, this horse got a huge engine. Like, there's nothing more you could want from him. The only thing you've obviously got to say for listeners, he will lose his 4-year-old's allowance come the new year, which potentially make things a little more difficult. But he was actually giving weight to Asian Master because of the jockey's claim. So it's not like he was receiving weight all round on this occasion. Like, he was just receiving weight from Tullyhill. So I can't see that will stop him. And if he improves for the experience, like, I can't see where there is to improve in his jumping. Certainly if he's not fully fit and he comes on for it, he should be favourite, really.
Ooh. Well, that brings us to the Arkle market. There's plenty of firms going 7-4 about Ballyburn. Jeff Banks is going 9-4, so he clearly does not. Well, he's prepared to take him on. Let's say that. I would say 9-4 for the Arkle is not appealing at all, and 7-4, sure, at 6-4, I've seen in some places, really isn't appealing by any stretch of the imagination. Adam Mills was on the show with me during the week. I can't remember if he said it on the air or off the air, but his mindset is he's a 3-miler. They've already talked about him winning the Gold Cup, and that's the long-term aim with them. But obviously the whole thing was, are we going to keep him over hurdles? Are we going to try and do a dawn run, win a champion hurdle? So with no turners, the most obvious race for him is the Arkle. I don't know that it is yet. It's Willie Mullins. Who knows where he's going to send the horse? But he's clearly on the safer side with Majborough. He was obviously very impressed. He's gone 4s. And Jeff doesn't use an algorithm. It's Jeff's opinion and his trader's opinion. So they've decided to go 4-1 Majborough, 9-4 Ballyburn, 6-1 Sir Gino. The noises are very positive coming out of Nicky Henderson's yard about his schooling over fences. And it does look as though Constitution Hill, the mystery horse, will actually be back in the Christmas hurdle at Kempton. But does 4-1 appeal to you, Georgie? Do you need to see more?
I don't, at this stage in the season, anything that short doesn't really appeal. You'd either want to be on before they jump to fence at a much bigger price, or you want to be waiting till you see them at least run twice, I'd say.
Yeah.
4-1. No horse in England is 4-1 to make the festival. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't be backing anything at that price. And sorry, obviously this horse in Ireland, but he would be my preference over Ballyburn at this stage, because, like you said, Ballyburn's he might be slightly square peg and a round hole in the Arkle. We all know it'd be going to Turners if it was still, in its old form. There's that unknown with him, whereas Majborough, there's no doubt in this horse is seriously, seriously quick. I'll say Ballyburn isn't. We haven't seen him jump fences over 2 miles at the top level yet. This horse is guaranteed this would be the race he'd be going for no matter what. Ballyburn, I think, would be running over an intermediate trip if he has a chance. And I can't see him going 3 miles. I think he'd be a bit too keen this year. So I think long-term Ballyburn will be the better horse. But this might be the year to get him beat, really, at Cheltenham. And I don't think he'll get beat the following year. But if you wanted to take him on, it's probably this year's Arkle. But I certainly wouldn't lay him for next year's Gold Cup.
Yeah, that'd be very similar to my level of thinking, actually. What about you, William? I always love asking a jockey, because you spent your career not being allowed to bet. Now you're actually unshackled. You can go and bet as much as you want. But does this appeal to you?
In my new role, I can't bet either.
Oh no! What's the new role?
I'm a jockey coach.
Oh,
so
man.
I'm still licensed under BHA. So I had a couple of months where I was allowed, and I wasn't very good at it, so I got a real job. But if
well, congratulations, by the way.
Thanks. I wasn't hugely impressed by Ballyburn. He should have gone out and did what he did. He jumped perfectly fine. But 2 mile around Cheltenham in the Arkle, not for me. I think Majborough, he's still short of 4-1, but I'd be way keener on that than I would Ballyburn at 9-4, even a little bit bigger. But Majborough for me was really impressed yesterday. Look, I want to see him again. I'm not going to back him. I wouldn't be backing him on the back of one run, but I can see him improving for that run yesterday. We going back to the type of horse, you've seen him. He was rangy, a rangy type as well. He's not that typical small flat juvenile. He's a tall enough horse that has plenty of scope and probably a little bit of room for improvement. I mean, Willie's all look like they've wanted a run really this year, and like to do most years. I mean, I actually thought, in a way, and he's not going to beat him next day, but I thought that the horse to take out of the race was probably Asian Master, who is definitely going to want to step up and trip. He could be the one with that step up and trip that might eke out the most improvement out of the first 3 home.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I saw you nodding along as well, George. He was quite eye-catching. I thought Tullyhill is a horse who'll do better over fences too. He probably just blew up towards the finish. He'll improve, and he was giving
He
£6 to him
brilliant,
too.
didn't he?
Yeah.
Tullyhill, he was a bull in a china shop over hurdles. He obviously just needed something to respect a bit more. Like, he didn't just get away with it; he jumped very well. In fact, he jumped better than Ballyburn did on Chase debut. He certainly jumped more like a 2-miler than Ballyburn did. That's and I put up Asian Master as one of my horses to follow for the year. I'm a big fan of that horse. Like,
sorry. Adam Mills was telling me, I didn't hear this, right? So this is second-hand info from Adam. But he was listening to a podcast, and the person who said this, I really like this person. I think they're very enthusiastic and they're great for the game. It's just interesting how somebody can we can all see the same thing, but can have completely different perspectives. This person, according to Adam Mills, said, well, this performance from Ballyburn, it reminded me of Sprinter Sacra. Oh my goodness, what a chase debut. It's like, what? What? What?
Jumped nothing like Sprinter Sacra.
What are you talking about? No!
Sprinter Sacra's chase debut had Dave Bass on board, didn't he? Sending him around Doncaster.
Yeah.
How have you made that comparison?
Just fiddled away, didn't he?
Yeah.
He looks like he will make a great 3-miler. I tell you what, they could run him in the arm. He won't fall. He'll fiddle away, he'll be fine, but he won't be making ground, which is where he'll be up against horses like Majborough, Tullyhill, that'll be taking lengths out of him at every fence. He'll be perfectly safe because he's very clever, but he's not going to be making ground. And like I said, this could all go in the bin when he runs second time out and suddenly he's winging fences.
Yeah.
Just be that
maybe he will be like Sprinter Sacra next time out.
Yeah. I think you couldn't compare him to Sprinter Sacra first time out. So I think Sprinter Sacra already couldn't breathe first time out.
True, which is why he finished the way he did in the Supreme, like me with an asthma attack at Cheltenham Racecourse. All right, so we're all very taken with Majborough. We all think he's the one who sets the standard right now. We saw Slade Steel run today. That's another thing that is a slight concern for me. A lot of these horses he was beating, with the exception of Absurd, who came out and ran very well on the flat. Like King of Kingsfield, we've seen twice. He's been knocked out of the way twice. Down memory lane, didn't do a whole lot on his next start, but if you remember, he hated soft ground at the Leopardstown Christmas meeting last year, so he probably just didn't like Sandown the other day. Kind of why he ran is a bit odd to me. Daddy Longlegs won a race this season, but then got absolutely murdered on 2 occasions. And Slade Steel has been beaten twice now. So I wonder about that novice hurdle division. It's not like they're terrible. You can't look at Mystical Power and go, well, he's proved that he's rubbish. He just didn't run his race at all in the Fighting Fifth. We have no idea what he's going to do when things are better for him. But there's enough there to just make you go, I wonder, is that juvenile hurdle division a little bit stronger than the novice hurdlers we were seeing in action last year? What would you make of that, William?
Yeah, I mean, very possible. He probably, you would have thought he'd have gone and won that today, like you say, getting beat by Lecky Watson, who's, look, no bad yardstick, but
he's fine.
Exactly. That's a good way. He's fine, isn't he? That's it. But you'd have liked to have seen Slade Steel just come there travelling and go win his race. He mightn't have wanted him to be hugely impressive, but he should have been beating them.
He really should, and it was Lecky Watson's seasonal and chase debut too, and Slade Steel had the benefit of a run. I don't know, maybe dropping him back in trip will help. We'll see. But it's good to see Rachel Blackmore back, and Slade Steel will win a race sooner rather than later, but if you're holding an anti-post docket for Cheltenham, I'd be worried. I'd be concerned.
You know what I find interesting with Slade Steel is Henry de Bromhead tends to take his best horse to the same bumper at Gorman Park every year, the Ducks bumper. It's just before Cheltenham. It's like the first weekend of March there. Who went there? Bob Ollinger went there. Journey with Me went there. Last year, that horse finished second in it. It hasn't had an entry yet this year. I'd say it's not. Sweet. I can't remember his name.
Was it Man's Way ran in it instead?
Oh God, what was it? Good enough or something like Good Enough. Or good. I can't remember. But anyway, boys, Slade Steel didn't go there. Like it seems like he sends his future sort of nice chasers for Arkle there, whereas he chanced Slade Steel at Punchestown instead. I wonder if that was the sort of sign that this is the faster, more, I don't know, like maybe more of a hurdler than a future chaser. that all these sort of big strapping future chasers seem to go to this bumper, and Slade Steel swerved it.
I'm totally wrong.
Especially-
Mountains Away ran against Missouri West. Never mind. I'm sure somebody was screaming, typing into the YouTube, furiously typing into YouTube comments, "You moron!"
Yeah, especially
Call
that-
yourself
that
a journalist.
bumper- I would say that bumper at Gorman Park's usually run on sort of soft, heavy ground as well. So if that was a sign early on that this Slade Steel was more of a speedy, like I say, maybe more of a speedy type, but maybe more of a hurdler as well. Got the
Do you think he is more of a hurdler?
I think he might be, yeah.
Oh,
I don't think he's improved for a fence.
Oh, that's not good.
He's just, even over hurdles, he was a little straight backed, wasn't he? Like a bit Bob Ollinger-ish.
Yeah.
He jumped fine, but he never looked to me like sort of horse that was going to make a great shape over a fence.
I think he jumped fine today. I thought he jumped really well.
Fine.
I was seeing the last few, but he jumped okay late on. He sort of, it wasn't his jumping that got him beat.
No, not at all.
Didn't quite look good enough.
That was what was worrying about it, William, is that when you're watching it live, you're thinking, oh, he's going to pick up obviously he's going to pick up Lecky Watson. But then you look at Townend. Townend wasn't moving. Or at least he wasn't vigorously going after him, going, oh my God, Rachel's going to get me. It's like he just kind of, you knew with Townend's body language, like, I've got this one. There's more to come from this fella. And to be fair to Lecky Watson, he did settle an awful lot better today. If you can keep a lid on him, he's clearly got an engine. He's clearly talented.
That might be fences for him as well, though, mightn't it? He might just respect them and race better over them too.
Yeah, he's probably going to be a proper graded performer this season. Whether he's good enough to win a Grade 1, I don't know. But certainly, it is entirely possible that Slade Steel has just bumped into a very talented horse in Better Days Ahead, and a horse that's significantly on the improve in Lecky Watson, and then next time out, maybe they drop him back to 2 and he bolts up.
Yeah, I'll be watching.
Better Days Ahead, who was absolutely smashed by Asian Master in a novice hurdle, who we just mentioned.
Yeah, it's a funny old game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, Slade Steel comfortably beat Lecky Watson over hurdles.
Yeah. That's what I said. Slade Steel beat Asian Master in the Supreme, and then you're going all back round the houses through Better Days Ahead to, back to Asian Master, yeah.
Who was considered not good enough to run in one of the graded novice hurdles. They decided to line him up for the Martin Pipe instead, and obviously he got the job done. All right, proceed with caution when it comes to Slade Steel. Proceed with caution when it comes to the lighting in the studio here as well. I don't know what the hell is going on. Ever since Gavin Lynch asked me about buying a light from him, the light that I have has just started to turn off. I'm convinced Gavin has done some sort of crooked
sabotage.
Absolutely, yeah. Espionage and sabotage of all kinds of different coverts for different stuff. Let's talk very briefly about the race at Cheltenham on the Friday. So €740,000 well spent with Caldwell Potter. Really impressive victory. 2 out of 2 over fences. Sorry, what's that? What do you mean he was beat? All right, well, he was... Okay, well, it was an honourable second carried out in his shield for the... He was third! What? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sir Alex Ferguson is looking for the receipt and the refund. Don't know if there's a money-back guarantee with that horse, and his previous connections are probably just laughing to themselves at this point, although maybe not, actually. But Django Bay was good. Chase debut, Grade 1 winner over hurdles, and now a winner over fences on his debut at Cheltenham, which Nicky Henderson was making the point. He does not like bringing horses to Cheltenham for their chase debut, but he really fancied it with this fella, and now we see why.
Yeah, he travelled and jumped beautifully. Nico was keen after jumping a couple to not give Harry an easy time of it on a horse that again, a bit like Ballyburn, he went to Carlisle and he jumped round there and he got the job done. A lovely fence at Carlisle, but he didn't he didn't excite me with his performance at Carlisle. He again should have been beating those horses the way he beat them, but Caldwell Potter this is. But Django Bay was Yeah, really impressive. Obviously, look, he was a Grade 1 winner over hurdles. May have been lucky that day with Farron Glory falling at Aintree, but he then continued to run well last season when Nicky's horses possibly weren't running well, and he still put in a couple of really decent performances. So, I think he's an exciting chaser going forward. Take over, George.
I'll take over. Interesting. On that, William, I heard a few people sort of talking about dropping him back down in Trip Caldwell Potter. I didn't have that at all.
Not really. He should have been. He'd have been second, barring losing the back end, I think.
Yeah, the mistake at last. I thought he would have kept on. Like I didn't think he would have weakened any bar hitting the last.
He wouldn't. It wasn't the winning and losing, but no. I couldn't.
But he wouldn't have won. But I said the fact that he sort of walked out the back of the last was because he hit the last. It wasn't because he didn't stay.
No, I can.
He's won a Grade 1 in bottomless ground, over hurdles. I know that was 2 miles, but I think he jumped the first in the Arkle. They'd have jumped the second by the time he landed. I couldn't have him dropping back in Trip at all. No,
not really. And also, I don't think for the horse that'd be a good thing either. I think you might just take a bit. That sale hasn't been the best sale to buy a horse out of.
No, Jesus. There has been a winner, hasn't there? Is it?
Yeah.
There's been one. Is it Phil Dort 40-1 on?
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I think it might have been. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying about dropping Caldwell Potter back down in Trip and Jango Baie.
Who the hell's saying that?
For the Brown advisory. I'd have him the other way around. Jango Baie was really slick with his jumping. He'd probably be perfect for the turners in his old form. But I'd rather be dropping him down rather than picking him back up. I just think he might travel a bit too strongly for old RSA Brown advisory. I don't know. But he might relax with racing. You want to get a couple more runs into him for Cheltenham. He was just sort of winging fences. I think he might do a bit too much in a Browns the way he ran on Saturday.
The very last thing that was there was 2 things came to mind when I watched that race. One, I was kind of glad I wasn't on TalkSport because I think I would have gone completely bananas if I had been live in the moment. But that's why he didn't run at Cheltenham.
First time.
It had nothing to do. It had absolutely nothing to do with. We need him to acclimatize.
Yeah.
He'd have been lapped. That's why he didn't go to Cheltenham, and that would have looked real bad. You spent $740K on a horse, and you're running him in the Supreme, and he's getting destroyed by Willie Mullins. Well, it would have been Henry in the Supreme, Willie in the Bearing Bingham. That's not going to look good. That's not going to look good at all. And then, oh no, he can't run at Aintree. What a shame. Brighter Days Ahead would have murdered him. She'd have murdered him. I don't.
Best Grade 1 he won.
No, it really wasn't. Down memory lane blew out. Daddy Longlegs at the time was really highly regarded. Turns out he's not much good anyway, and the ground was terrible.
Yeah. I think they'd have struggled. They wouldn't have known what race to run him in because you knew couldn't beat Ballyburn. The Supreme, we had soft ground day 1, but it wasn't bottomless like it was the last day at Leopardstown. And you can't really justify spending that money on a horse and then running it in the Albert Bartlett when it's never been further than 2 mile.
And they had something for that too.
Was
it Welcome to Cartes they had for that race?
Yeah.
Or no.
Was
Captain
that
Teague. They had Captain Teague for it.
Yeah.
Captain Teague, yeah.
I don't know who's saying. Look, pedigrees can make a fool of you. There is nothing in Django Baie's pedigree that suggests going massively up in Trip. Absolutely nothing about it. And to me, he looked like an Arkle horse. I know Nicky was saying afterwards on Racing TV, it's a real shame you got rid of that Turners because that's the race we would have been going for.
Yeah, well, that's the issue, isn't it? There's a few horses falling into that category that we've already spoke about, and this is one of them because it really is where do you go? The thing is, I'd almost guarantee if he was trained by Willie, he'd be dropping down in trip. But Nicky isn't that keen to drop him down. He tends to try and step him up, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I said. He'll want to run at least twice more between now and the festival because he'll need to learn to settle and back off his fences. Like, you'll have to change how he jumps completely from what we saw on Saturday. Because he's just going to do too much in a Brown advisory for me at the minute.
I would agree with that. I was really pleased to see him. I was really pleased to see him win though, because right now the only British novice chaser that you'd be getting excited about is Loda Sud, and I am excited about him. I think Josh Apiafi made a really good case for him. He has him at, was it 12s he got with Jeff as the anti-post charity bet? He's 8-1 now, so we'll see how that fares for him. But you need something to be able to challenge the Irish horses, and given the fact that the Irish dominated the novice hurdles at the Cheltenham Festival, the only British trained novice hurdler to finish in the top 5, bar Golden Ace, who won the mayor's race, is the Jukebox Man. He looks very exciting over fences, and hopefully he'll fulfill his potential. Loda Sud looks very exciting, and now this guy does too. So I'd be really positive about Jango Bay, but not going down a trip. I'd be going up. Caldwell Potter, on the other hand, no.
I'd like to see him run over 3 mile. I wouldn't write him off yet.
On heavy ground.
Yeah.
On real heavy ground.
Only thing is, they're not going to spend $750,000 on it and run it in the National Hunt Chase. It's going to have to be Brown advisory or nothing.
And Nichols has a terrible record in that race.
Yeah.
Although it's what are the conditions now? It's different.
Was it Nichols' last horse that won the Brown advisory? He hasn't run since still, is it? I think he retired it. What was that horse? Big chestnut thing. In the not the Finley colours.
It was the Barber and Finley, the Barber colours.
Yeah.
Did he run at Aintree afterwards?
No one can ever remember the horse's name, but every single season it was coming back. Yeah, it got beat at Aintree, yeah. Massive horse.
He was a proper horse. Again, people are typing into the comment section on YouTube, "You morons, you call yourself expert!" Ah! You're right, by the way. We should remember this. If Trish was here, she would do this for me, but she's not, so I have to do it myself. I have the name. Do you?
No, I can never remember it.
Top of the game.
Top of the game.
That was 2019.
Yeah. I assume it is retired.
Oh, no, he's coming back any day now.
And your Monkfish made it back.
Yeah, exactly. Monkfish got back. Top of the game will come back any minute now.
And what's it? Third time lucky. Whose bingo card was that? I thought that must have been retired. That came back from however many 1,000 days off the track or something.
Yeah, after
Hillcrest.
After a £290,000 purchase.
Yeah. And my Drogo finished third in a point-to-point on Saturday. If you had another one that was on the long layoff list.
I heard about a racehorse running in a point-to-point recently enough that really shouldn't have been in it, but we'll leave it at that, I think, for now.
One for all fair.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. Be like, how wait, what? Maybe the horse is loving it. Maybe he is, but I don't know. We'll stay with the novice chasers. Dancing City. So perfect start to life over fences, if not flawless, but he has got it done. He's another for Willie Mullins. I mean, the embarrassment of riches that man has is just incredible. He was one of the best staying novice hurdlers last season, if not the best, to be fair, based on what he did at Aintree at Punchestown. He couldn't do it at Cheltenham, but he could do it there. And back at the scene of his victory at the Punchestown Festival, he wins on Chase debut. What did you make of him, William?
Yeah, jumped big and bold most of the way around. And when he was needed to literally dance, he was dancing on the boards. I think it was 2 out. He was very, very good. I was impressed by him. I thought he looked really the real deal. He was very good. Like I say, big and bold when needed, and good on his feet as well. Because he's a fine big horse, and he needs to. He's not always going to be winging. You know, he needs to be able to jump, and I thought he was well able the other day.
Well, now that we know the National on Chase is no longer open to amateurs, and so they've really screwed Patrick out of it, there can be no messing around that, maybe he'll be Patrick's ride. He's surely just a Brown advisory horse. Unless Willie does pull a crazy Ivan and decide, no, I'm going to put Ballyburn in that, actually. Which, the more I think about it, start of the season, I was adamant, this nonsense, Ballyburn's clearly going to go for the Arkle. The more I think about it, the more I'm not so sure. But the 7-1 appeal to you, George Gorman, for the Brown advisory, that's his prize with Jeff Banks bet.
No, I don't think he's going to run that.
What?
I think the Turners not being a thing and the amount of horses Willie Mullins has sent chasing this year, he's going to have to plug a few horses into this Brown advisory, including a few that are going to be potentially more exciting than Dancing City. Dancing City will get 4 miles. Easy. And it's not even 4 mile anymore, is it? 3 miles 6.
No, it's 3.5.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
He'll get that all day long. And like, this isn't against him that he's going to be running in the National Hunt Chase. For anyone else, he goes Brown advisory, but I think he's a guaranteed stayer over that trip, and I think he's probably a guaranteed winner. I'd nearly back him from National Hunt Chase. I love this jumping, like Will said there. I think, was it 6 out, Mossy Fen Park made a bad mistake. 4 out, Olympic Man made a bad mistake. You watch the race back. Dancing City was in tighter at both of those fences and made no semblance of a mistake. Like, he was just, like I said, dancing off the boards. And by the time they turned into the straight, Townend was like, oh, that's what this horse does. He sat up on him into the second last and the last and just let him pop away. He was just going, the only way I can put this horse on the deck is by asking him too big a question. If I just sit here, we're getting round. Like, it was, I think that's ideal for a National Hunt Chase. Horse can just pop away, use as little energy as possible.
But that's not what it is anymore, though. It's a 0 to 150 now, isn't it?
Oh shit! It's a handicap now, is it? I'd totally forgotten that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have. I think
he's off 150 right now.
Yeah, he ain't going to be off 150 for much longer.
He was,
yeah.
IHRB are watching this guy. Do you know what? There now, keep him under 150. We might get in the bag ourselves an Irish winner for sure.
Hey, that might be. Maybe that's the one for the National Hunt Chase. The horse to finish 4th.
Yeah.
Olympic Man. He was a real eye catcher.
He was too keen. Like, how did he not fall?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Like, how he found a leg, I do not know. Was it 3 out, 4 out?
He was
3 out.
He was on the floor.
He was. It could have gone down as an F.
Yeah.
And he then came back and finished the race off strongly.
Yeah. Danny was very good on him as well. Gave him a lot of time to recover, and just.
But I mean, he was probably riding him under absolutely zero pressure, So.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, I think you'll see Olympic Man up to 3 mile again, but I think you'll see him the next day over 2.5.
Oh, you have. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
We have an idea about this fella. So because he's a Marteline, I would imagine soft, heavy ground will see him to his best, and he's performed that way. He was second in a listed handicap hurdle on heavy, won his maiden hurdle on soft, bolted up. But you reckon there might be a long-term target with him?
Well, I think he was so keen yesterday and mistake. I just think back to 2.5 next day, and he'll eventually step up. But I do think I think he'll win over 2.5 the next day. That would be my thinking.
Well, I think he'll run over 2.5. I don't think he'll win over it though.
All right. Okay. You think he's got a plan for him?
I'd plan with him if he was mine.
Yeah.
He had a mark of he was 137 when he last ran over hurdles.
Yeah, 137. Yeah.
He's clearly better than that.
Yeah, I mean, what's he beating yesterday? 5 lengths, horrific mistake, not knocked about. He's probably not 137 already over a fence, is he?
No.
He's probably low one.
That's a dual grade 1 winning 150 horse that's beating you and you've clattered every fence the whole way. You've run like Faugheen over hurdles. You've just smashed every fence. They need to sort that out, by the way, because it doesn't matter what your plan is. It ain't going to come off if he keeps doing that.
No, he won't do that again. He won't do that. I'm sure of it. He jumped enough fences for me yesterday. He jumped enough fences well and clear to have learned, and he didn't make, after that really bad mistake, he jumped the last two better. I'd be delighted he made that mistake yesterday, I think, and then I think he'll come on for it. My opinion. I
agree. So Olympic Man is one to take out of it. The other one to take out of it is clearly Mossy Fen Park. I like him a lot. I really liked him at Down Royal on St. Stephen's Day, Boxing Day last year. We've only seen him three times since then. One was in a grade 2 hurdle race at the Ferryhouse Easter Festival when he was second. He's taken on Firefox in his chase debut, not been beaten far by him. And now he's not beaten far by another one of the leading novice hurdlers from last season in Dancing City. He's a formality to win a novice chase, but he's probably going to have a pretty decent day in him. And he's only 5. So there's lots of room for improvement for him as well. He'd be nearly the eye catcher of the week for me. He does need to improve his jumping, by the way.
Yeah, well, I was going to say he's had 2 goes at it now, and again yesterday was sketchy at a couple, and coming from there, they are well schooled, one from Willie's, I can see his jumping improving with racing, not so much from Henry's. They first time to second time maybe, but I'd be a bit more worried about the sort of niggly errors he made yesterday.
Yeah, I would take that on board for sure. It's all very fair to say. I have a feeling he's going to do well this season. I don't know where, but I think he's going to pop up in a nice one. But it certainly is a concern coming from Henry's Yard that he's making those mistakes now. They're very well schooled, and they do a lot of dressage and show jumping as well. So he should be more foot perfect, but he's still a horse that I would have very, very high on the list as one to watch out for as the season goes on. I think a few people were getting pretty carried away with King Turgeon and thinking about him potentially being a Grand National horse. I was one of them. I absolutely loved his performance. But then I remembered the Grand National is basically the Gold Cup 2.0, and you need to be rated a real high ranking to get in there, and he just does not have that rating yet. So top him, I would imagine, will be the aim, and then try and get him into a Grand National next year. But he's one of the most likable chasers in training, William.
Yeah, he was just flicking his ears out in front, jumping from fence to fence. I'd say he was a absolute pleasure for Jack to ride. I was watching, thinking I wouldn't mind a spin on him, but agreed. It's just not the race it was. 10 years ago, this horse should have been really excited about him going to it, but he's probably a stone, 20 pound too low to be thinking about contesting in that this year, isn't he? And look, he is 6. Maybe he'll improve for another year, but I'd be surprised if they didn't go down that route, though. You think he'll go top him this year and next year? You're thinking he won't be high enough to get into it completely, but surely he will.
Will he be?
Yeah, surely.
If he wins again, then fair enough. But he won this off 1-3-3.
Yeah.
Let me do a quick bit of cover for us, George Gorman. What was your thoughts?
Not much to add to that really. Like I say, he's rated 1-3-3. I think my point is currently rated higher than this horse. He's not getting into a Grand National.
He hasn't got. So
what's
146 was the lowest rated,
right?
And that horse pulled up.
Fair enough.
In the Grand National last year, and last season I should say. Aya Maximus was 159, Delta Work 157, Menelindo 159, Galvin 155, Kitty's Light 146. That's the standard you need to be getting to
Well, I thought I knew he'd have to be 140, but I thought he might get in off low 140s, but maybe he won't. But and I think he will have to win again because he's not going to go up £10 for the other day, but he'll go up 6, 7.
He'll go. Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Although the handicapper might take a more lenient view given what happened to Chianti Classico.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I mean that's
handicapping him off our power. Then you might not got that much.
Yeah, which you kind of have to now.
Yeah,
it would be desperately unfair to not do that, given he was basically hobbling into the changing room for Chianti Classico. Hope he's all right.
Yeah. I think it didn't sound great now.
No, it didn't. It's never a good sign, William, when they have to dismount and the horses walk back in. But
I think he,
the top, didn't they?
Yeah, I think. Do you know what? I think he did a 5 out.
Yeah.
The ditch up the hill. I think he lost his back end at that ditch, and I think that's where. I mean,
it certainly started there.
Well, of course, he didn't go lame there, but that'd been the worry, you know. But yeah, real shame for Connections and he because what a fantastic horse it was last year.
Oh, class!
The dogs agree with me, and then his first start this year, you know. So he looked like he was going to be really exciting, and so it's a huge shame.
Potential career-threatening tendon injury.
Yeah, and Our Power. Yeah, look, he's ran a blinder, but he's 9 now, and Sam's horse are in fantastic form, and he's ran the race of his life, and he ran the national. Did he finish 8th or 9th, something like that, maybe?
He also desperately needs to go right-handed.
Yeah, I think he is. I wonder would he be one for the Scottish national? Maybe him. Better ground as well.
Wherever if we see him over Christmas. He's not going to run that. There's no way he's going to run in that race. But if we see him in January in a staying handicap chase going right-handed, moral. Solid.
What about the Grand National trial at Haydock?
Oh, now you're thinking, George.
That'd be the one.
Get on the phone to Sam Thomas and tell him we've lined up one.
It's left-handed though, so you got to find him on right-handed.
Yeah.
Crap. Good point.
Stupid
Gorman, what are you doing?
They're all left-handed. The classic chase, they're all left-handed.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's a big day for Turgeon as well. We obviously lost a few years ago, didn't we? Like, for me, I grew up watching Turgeons. It's sort of shocking. There's still a 6-year-old by him. Like, it was Exotic Dancer, Chapper Turgeon. Like, you're talking like Exotic Dancer must have been born nearly in the 90s. I'd say he was about 99,
2007. He was coming to prominence. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. This horse was born April 2018. That's some stallion career, isn't it? Like,
Unreal.
Just thought I'd highlight that. Like,
Exotic Dancer was born in 2000.
2000. There you go. Yeah. So it's at least an 18-year stud career.
Unreal.
Pretty good.
What a life. What a life. The horse, that race, by the way, was the Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Coming soon. Handicap chase. Fair play. Racing.
I couldn't believe when I was watching that live, and they've gone away from the start. I can't remember who was commentating, but and I just thought, did I hear that right?
Yeah, I did think that's a huge get. Like, when was there ever a race sponsored by a big Hollywood movie at Cheltenham before? I
don't remember it. Do not ever remember that happening before.
Thank God there weren't any foolers. I did think if there were any foolers, it would be quite good if they in live action managed to put in the rings all coming out.
Just like gold rings flying everywhere.
I'm not quite sure that comment's going to do this podcast much good.
I said, thank God there weren't.
Yeah.
This is hypothetical. I don't think we'd do racing any good if we actually did it. But,
man. But it's great.
Or getting Jim Carrey to present the prize or something would have been wonderful.
Yeah, but it is great though that we have a Hollywood studio and at least the PR company that are promoting that film coming to Cheltenham saying, hey, we coming to the Jockey Club and saying, hey, we would like to sponsor one of your races, because bookmaker sponsorship is great. It's great. But the sport is too heavily dependent on it. Way too heavily dependent on it.
We need the Hennessy back. We need the Thomas Pink,
the Lexus,
The Whitbread.
Yeah, we need that. We need that back, don't we?
Yeah, from the Smirnoff. Yeah, all that stuff needs to come back. All right, one to watch out for. Somebody listening to this show was really unhappy with Adam Mills giving his opinion that Killgame could be a very exciting horse to follow this season, and then blamed him for losing on it. You are entitled to your opinion, sir, but if you throw a dog a bone, you don't want to know how it tastes. Let's see what Killgame does next time out. He'll need to improve significantly, by the way, but I wouldn't just be discarding him and throwing him away as a nothing horse on the basis of one run. I'm sure he's going to turn out to be better than that, but he will need to improve. But Adam was saying there's two superstars in this race, potentially Killgame, and the other is Quelle Histoire, and Quelle Histoire is the one who turned out to be the superstar as William Mullen's good run continues. He won very, very impressively, and another really eye-catching one for the Mullins camp, William Kennedy.
Yeah, look, he beat 25 to 1 shot and a 33 to 1 shot. He'd want to be looking impressive to beat them, but look, take nothing away from the horse. I was surprised to, I think I read in the Racing Horse report, didn't always jump with fluency. I thought Mark gave him a brilliant ride. I thought he gave him a squeeze at one down the back and he absolutely winged it. And the only other time he let go of his head was down to the last, and again he winged it. Yeah. I thought Mark gave him a really educational ride. He's pretty much he's been up in the van the whole way. He's taught him a lot. He's got him in popping away. For me, he didn't make any mistake. Yes, a bit novice-y, but I just thought it was a really well. Look, Mark riding for JP. It was a really great educational winning ride that the horse will have learned a lot from, and now you can go into a better race, and he'll be more confident with his jumping. The horse, and that's the horse I'm talking about, because I think Mark knew how good he was the whole way around.
Yeah, he was class. I'd have said his jumping got better as the race wore on, but I certainly would not have said, "Oh, he was."
I don't. They just said. Where was it? I read it and looking for it now.
It says
did
jump with
fluency. Yeah,
they're just rubbish. On the always didn't jump with fluency thing, I thought it was absolute rubbish. Like, I think if you look at the horse in isolation, it doesn't always make the best shape at his fences, but you look at the horses around him, he's never losing ground. Like he's really, I thought, yeah, it wasn't the prettiest, but it doesn't matter how you get from one side to the other. As long as you're not using too much petrol and you're not losing ground, it doesn't matter. Like I said, the second Mark Walsh kicked on and actually rode him forward into early, absolutely winged it and shot away from them. I think, like Will said, great educational ride, and be a horse to look forward to up in grade next time.
JetBlue. This is a little bit worrying, I think. Professor Caroline Tisdale spends a lot of money on racing, and she brings a lot of her horses over to the UK to be trained by David Pipe and sometimes by Paul Nicholls. And this time, she's bought a horse and sent it to David Cotton. He did not train this horse beforehand, but now he does. And I was saying this a year ago when Il Est Francais tore up in Kempton. Oh, gee, I wonder, is it going to become a problem that all the French trainers are going to they'll keep their horses in France, but then come over and target races in the UK? And that is becoming a thing. So JetBlue wins on his British debut, and William, straight afterwards, James Ridley was saying he might be just better suited to British racing as opposed to French racing. What do you make of his long-term prospects, and what do you make of the idea that maybe there's going to be more French invasions?
I think with the French invasion argument, I don't know how much we'll see them, because why would you come to the UK for poor prize money when the prize money is so good over there? So you're only coming over for the prestige, really. And I still think that if they're coming to the festival, the King George, whatever, I still think that the horses that Willie and Gordon and Henry, and to a lesser degree, the British have here are going to be good enough to beat them. So I think they'll pick and choose a little bit with that, because I'm still not sure they've got the horses that are good enough to be winning those top races at the festival. Back to Jet Blue, I thought it was a lovely ride by James. He just let the horse warm to his jumping. Again, he said afterwards that even in France, his jumping can be a little bit sticky. So he really let him warm up to it, put him into the race going out on the second circuit. Look, he won going away. He was impressive on the day. There was plenty of horses around him making mistakes through that race, not jumping with fluency. If he's going to come back in March, he needed to be beating that field the way he beat them. But also, he probably needs to brush up a little bit on his jumping too, because I think it was a poor round of jumping by the most of the field, really.
I completely agree with that. Somebody on X I saw tweeting, Skyjack Hijack reminds you of one of those Len Lungo horses who used to just bolt up the string of wins to their name, and then they come to Cheltenham and you couldn't find them on a map. I was
really harsh on Skyjack Hijack for me to say that. I just think he's not good enough. But the horse has won 6 on the bounce, you know, and he's
started off 96.
Yeah, he's massively come up through the grade. But I mean, there's one horse, I actually can't remember his name, it's stuck in my head, that might have been Hunt Ball, was it?
Hunt Ball started off 70.
Yeah, and ended up. But you tell me how many horses start off 96 and then end up being good enough to compete in that type of grade. There's really not very many, and they've done a great job with him, and he's, what was he off today? 140 something, 141 or something. Oh, 138. Okay, so they've done a really good job with him, but he's probably and he'll come down and maybe go and win again, but he's probably in the grips, isn't he, of the handicap with that, and stepping him into that class. He just wasn't good enough for me.
Yeah, it's also possible that just a flatter track will suit him better, and maybe you'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, but I still don't think. If you ran that race the other day around a flatter track, he still ain't winning.
Yeah.
It should be said they were going to turn him away as well, and I think they only kept him in once it sort of became apparent the winter ground wasn't coming.
Wasn't there? Yeah.
That
horse isn't finished. I wouldn't. But he's still just not that good.
And I'd say Sean Quinlan did change tack on him slightly. Like, I've seen his other races, he went much harder from the front the other times. I don't know if it's because it was a bit more of an undulating track. He was a little more conservative on him. I don't think it made too much difference in the end. But I was watching him and I was going, right, he's going to get these at it in a minute. And he just never did, whether because he wasn't good enough or...
the only thing I say about that, and I agree with you, and they talked about it, I think as the race was, the commentator mentioned in the race, and then he made a really, for me, funny move that when he turned down the back, he suddenly sprinted down the hill first. And I just thought, if you're going to change tack, you then can't mid-race inject so much. I don't know. I still don't think he was good enough.
But it didn't last very long, though, did it? He sort of just sprinted down the hill and then he's back up again.
But it's a bit... No, but for me, again, from riding, you can go quick and then fill up, but you can't go halfway through the race, then inject speed, and then expect the horse to keep going. I think if you go quick and then take back and fill, you can go again, but I'm just not sure you can do it that way around. But anyway.
You half busted him, maybe, trying to...
Yeah, kind of like that, look, I still don't think he was good enough. That's the be-all and end-all is I don't think he was good enough.
But I think a few of these horses then, where he hadn't gone that quick, a few of these look very slow, turning in, like certainly Condor General and Western Knight, and no doubt nice horses. I think they'd have liked a much more end-to-end gallop, but I think the horse that won it is maybe just the fastest horse.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That was how I read it.
He's also changed yards 3 times, which is not easy for a horse, and he making his debut in Britain as well. I'm not recommending him as a bet for the potato race, but I wouldn't put you off either. That being said, the potato race is a nightmare of a race, and you really need to be swinging for something at 20-1 plus on the day when you've got all the information in front of you. 2 horses to talk about as we wrap it up. Champion Bumper, Calypso Chance, point winner, comes out and absolutely routs them under Patrick Mullins for Gordon Elliott. And the day before, it's Willie Mullins with Future Prospect, who is a mare. Willie Mullins won the Champion Bumper with a mare in 2018 with Katie Walsh on board. That was Relegate. There's a couple of points to note about this. She was supposedly very, very impressive in her point-to-point, but on Pedigree, she's a half-sister to the absolute hound Wild West Wind, and her dam is a sister to a couple of other hounds. So I would proceed with caution, but my goodness, Future Prospect looked a proper Future Prospect, and Calypso Chance looked a proper graded performer as well. Of the 2, which were you more impressed with, William?
Oh, God. I didn't know that was the question you were going to ask me. The worrying statement you made there is Future Prospect relations, really, because she looked raw and green, and the worry might be, is she actually going to come out of that? I guess if there's a little bit of a bit of monkiness in the family, and that'd be the worry, because if I thought she was going to improve for racing, and she just didn't look like the penny really dropped the other day. She was hanging a bit. But is she always going to do that? That'd be the slight worry. Because otherwise I'd be choosing her. I think she was mightily impressive the way she picked up when challenged. Like, I mean, he bobbed out to make all on her, hung off the bend past the stands, still looked green. He was keen to, whether it was, probably was, because he always tends to go down the middle in bumpers, Patrick. But so she was very, very raw. And then they challenged her and she absolutely flew up the home straight. So she was really, of the 2, I was really impressed by her. But that, I suppose, is the little worry is, does it run in the family? Yeah,
that has to be the concern. She's a 14-1 shot with Jeff Banks Bet. Sign up now and get 10% of any net losses back after your first month of betting, up to £500. jeffbanks.bet. Use the promo code FFP500 to take full advantage of it. George, what did you make of both? And do you have concerns about Future Prospect going forward?
I would have concerns about Future Prospect in terms of temperaments. So I don't know about her brothers and sisters, but the dam's by Norwich, which he produced a fair few characters over the years when he was jump sire himself.
You both sound like you're speaking from personal experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Fond memories of Norwich progeny, so.
Yeah, we had one. We bought one as a yearling, and it was told by Mum to leave and never come back when it kicked our champion pointer in a schooling session.
Right.
That was the end of his racing career with us.
That was
you're not. Yeah.
Cheerio. See you later.
You're out, mate. Because if you're kicking something while you're schooling, I think it was its second time ever schooling. If you're thinking about it that much, you're able to kick the horse that's upside you. Like, I can't have that.
No,
but
thanks.
Anyway, sorry. My gut feeling watching this, not knowing it was a point-to-point winner, was that this looks like a well-bred flat horse that's probably not going to go beyond bumpers, and maybe even in a strongly run bumper might struggle to get home, because he just looks too quick. Like for me, I know it sounds silly, but it looked like a flat horse running against jumpers, and they usually come unstuck sooner or later.
Yeah.
I take the point. He has won a point-to-point, but plenty of horses that don't stay 2 mile, 2.5 manage to win point-to-points out in Ireland. I don't know how well run it was or whatever, or whose turn it was to win that day. But
interesting.
But Do you know what I mean, Will? I
do. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
She struck me as too quick. Like they're usually too good to be true. Those horses, and eventually they'll find a way to get unstuck. Whereas there was nothing sort of that worried me about Calypso Chance's race. I think if anything, the race wasn't run to suit.
He's keen, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was keen. They went steady enough, and then they sprinted when he turned in. He looked all over the place for a couple of strides, and then he's got this big raking stride. And when it kicked in, he was like you'd have said a furlong out, he was nearly going to get beat, and then he's gone away and won by 4.5 lengths. Like this is a proper future chaser. Like this, if I had to have one of them, it'd be this one for sure. Like I can't wait to him down the hurdle already. Like let alone the fence.
Yeah, the thing that would worry me about future prospect is I loved Order of St. George. I loved him. He was an absolute superstar. I don't know about him as a sire. I don't
know where the speeds come from. This mare has looking at the stallion and the mare.
That's a very good point too. She's showing a fair bit of speed, and it's if you go onto the Racing Post website and you click Order of St. George stud record,
not good.
Now, sometimes it takes them a while, and then suddenly they take off. And the progeny starts hitting the ground, and they're much better. And it's a slow game. It's Poor Ma. Great shout. And it's a real slow game, National Hunt Racing. It takes quite a while. Sometimes, Authorized was over in Turkey. They had to go and get him back because they didn't realize what a prolific National Hunt sire he actually is and how valuable he is. People can make mistakes, but the LES horse is by Masked Marvel. We know what he can do. I don't know what Order of St. George can do. Not yet, anyway. And it's a 9-length win. She's very, very impressive. And Willie has won the champion bumper with a mare before. So maybe he's going to do it again. But I would just have a slight note of caution there. Especially given the hounds in her pedigree. Okay. Highlight of the week. What would you take from the weekend going forward?
Can I be really awkward and say one we haven't talked about?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So the winner of the Cork Maiden Hurdle on Friday of Gordon Elliott's relieved of duties. Maidel did everything you could possibly want. They fiddled beautifully. When he was asked to go on, he winged a few fences. This is going to be... What it really struck me as was watching Jerry Colomb. Like physically, he's a very similar sort of horse. I think it's by Sholikov out of a network mare. This is going to be a chaser, and you watch the race back. He was very, very impressive. I think he got beat in a maiden hurdle by a nose first time out. Clearly learned a lot from it. It's a gorgeous horse, and just if anyone's listening that has a chance to go back and watch it, go back and watch it.
It was unreal.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be in any of the big novice hurdles at the festival this year because he might be more of a future project. But he went away to win by 15 lengths from Willie Mullins and Alexander horse that was 6-5 favourite, and he smashed him 15 lengths.
Do you know why we didn't talk about him?
Why is that?
Sholikov.
We love Sholikov.
Oh, yeah, Cossack. We do if they've got asthma inhalers.
Don Cossack was fine.
Was he the only one? Did Shishkin have a breathing operation?
We had a horse called...
Actually,
Graston.
Yeah, he did. He had 2. Yeah. Go on. Who was the horse you had?
We had a horse called Graston whose win was fine. He wasn't top notch.
What was he rated though?
I think he managed to get up to like 125, 130.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll give you that.
132.
Okay, fair enough.
132.
Fair enough.
All right, okay.
His win was fine. He did end his days in the point-to-point field, but oh god, he was one. Porticello.
Yeah.
His win was fine.
Del
Grade
Arca.
1 winning juvenile hurdler.
Del Arca needed a wind up. I'd say Sounds Russian is the only one on the top list that didn't need one. The Irish horses. We'll never know. We'll never know. They don't have to say it in Ireland for some
of course I know.
bizarre, stupid reason that I still don't understand. Yeah, very impressive. Very, very impressive. Nice prospect. Buried a Willie Mullins horse that seemed to be pretty highly regarded on the day. Just would have a slight concern. I'll give you one that I think is a future winner, but not a superstar, and that's Full of Life. She got absolutely destroyed by a Willie Mullins horse because that's just what Willie Mullins is doing. But she'll win a similar Mares Hurdle as long as she doesn't pop up against some Willie Mullins superstar, and she'll improve for her first run as well. She made a mess of the last, but there's going to be nice races to be won with her, I would think. William, for you?
If you're looking for one that we haven't spoken about, I haven't really got anything. But I mean, I suppose the ones of what really impressed me most, Majborough. He was just really very good. And look, we've got to see him again, you know. But I loved that he had a little tendency to jump a bit left. I didn't see that as a negative. I thought it gives him a bit of space at his obstacles. I loved how he quickened straight, and he may have been getting the allowance, but he didn't need it the other day, and I think he's exciting going forward. And I suppose one that got beat, and it's actually in that very same race, is Asian Master. I just thought that was a really good performance. I thought that for me was pretty eye catching. You know, I think you'll see this horse stepped up and trip, and there will be more to come from him. Like he that was definitely short enough for him the other day.
So I mean this with the greatest of respect. Tom Costello is going to be riding him, all 7'5" of him, and as he'll win a beginner's no problem. He'll win a novice no problem. But he is going to be going up against Paul Townend and Mark Walsh and every other brilliant jockey in Ireland.
He did a good job on him last year. He did do a good job on him last year, I'd say. And I think it's a good job that the horse wants 3 miles, because I think he'd be more able to ride in the Browns against those jockeys than he probably would be in Arkle.
It's no concern because you're both horsemen. You've both been on the track. It's no concern to either of you.
No, if the horse is good enough.
No.
Do you want me? I might just never be allowed to do any of these again if I start listing horses that won despite.
Reveal all! Tell us all! Trish, don't cut this.
We've all got a list. We've all got a list.
Of course we do.
Yeah. I'm probably on one or two people's list.
No. We could rely on you. We knew you'd get from A to B, and we knew you'd get the job done. But, jeez, dearie me.
You came up in conversation the other day, Will. I was wondering.
Oh, Christ. Do I want to know?
I was wondering what you think. I think all the jockeys look too similar now, as you always had your multicoloured goggles on when you was riding.
Yeah.
You knew how to stand out from the crowd. I think they're all trying to look and dress the same now.
I went through a difficult phase. mid-career, yeah.
No, I might bring those goggles back.
Some people dye their hair blonde. Other people just go for multicolored goggles. Right, that's it. George is back with us very soon. William, hopefully you'll be back with us soon as well. I really appreciate Really appreciate the insight from both of you. Delighted for you with the new job as well, William. Best of luck with that. I hope it's going well. And George, looking forward to getting your insight on the show again very soon too. If, again, I failed to do something that's pretty bloody basic, and I get asked to do this each time, and each time I completely forget to do it. Would you kindly hit the like button on YouTube, please? Thank you very much. It's a massive help with the algorithm. It's a massive help with stuff that's way too complicated for my feeble and small minds to understand. But apparently it helps a lot. So hit the like button, please. It's much appreciated. From William, George, and me, Emmet Kennedy, we are back with our big Christmas preview very, very soon on the Final Furlong podcast. From all of us, look after yourself and each other. God bless.
The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.